My name is Liam, and this is the story of how my life unraveled in ways I never thought possible. Looking back, I realize how much I took for granted, believing that love and trust were unshakable foundations. I was wrong. Emma, my wife of 6 years, and I were once the couple everyone admired. She was stunning, with her chestnut hair that shimmered in the sunlight and a smile that could light up any room. I loved how her deep hazel eyes sparkled with enthusiasm for life, and how she could make even the most mundane tasks seem joyful. Her athletic yet graceful frame, often accentuated by simple yet elegant dresses, only added to her charm. Our life seemed perfect. We had a beautiful home, successful careers, and dreams of starting a family. And then there was my brother, Caleb. Older by 3 years, he had always been my hero growing up. Charismatic and adventurous, Caleb could charm anyone he met. But everything changed after his accident 2 years ago. He went from being the life of the party to a shadow of himself, paralyzed from the waist down and emotionally broken. My heart ached for him, and I did everything I could to support him, even as he pushed everyone away. Emma, however, stepped in where I couldn't. She visited Caleb regularly, bringing him home-cooked meals and keeping him company while I was busy with work. I was grateful for her kindness, proud even, that the woman I married cared so deeply for my family. But I had no idea how far that care would go. It started during a work trip. I had been sent overseas for 2 weeks, the longest Emma and I had been apart since our wedding. Before I left, she reassured me with her usual warmth, promising to check on Caleb while I was away. "Don't worry about a thing," she said, her hand brushing my cheek. "Focus on work, and I'll take care of everything here." Our nightly video calls seemed normal at first. She would talk about her day, updating me on Caleb's progress and how much she missed me. But there were moments when she seemed distant, distracted even. I chalked it up to stress. Emma had always been the glue that held things together, and I figured the responsibility was weighing on her. It wasn't until I returned that I noticed the cracks. Emma greeted me at the airport in a fitted sundress, her hair slightly tousled, yet her half-hearted smile and quick hug felt cold. At home, she seemed jittery, avoiding eye contact and finding excuses to avoid intimacy. I told myself it was just an adjustment period after being apart, but the unease gnawed at me. One evening, while Emma was out, I borrowed her tablet to check an email. A notification popped up, a message from Caleb. "I miss you. Last week was amazing." My stomach churned as I opened the chat. The conversation was explicit, filled with details that made my hands shake. They had been sneaking around for months, sharing moments in my absence that were meant for us. The messages painted vivid images in my mind. Emma sitting close to Caleb, her laughter filling the room, their hands brushing as if by accident. I pictured her leaning over him, her lips grazing his ear as she whispered something meant to console but laced with something deeper. The betrayal cut deep. My wife and my brother, 2 people I trusted implicitly, had torn my world apart. Each message I read felt like a dagger to the heart. They laughed about fooling me, shared plans for the future, and expressed a love they claimed was uncontrollable. I couldn't breathe. The walls seemed to close in as the weight of their deceit crushed me. When Emma came home that night, I was waiting. The tablet lay open on the table, their messages glaring up at her. Her face paled, and tears welled up in her eyes. "Liam," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I can explain. I didn't want explanations. I wanted answers." "How long?" I demanded, my voice colder than I thought possible. She broke down, admitting that it started as emotional support for Caleb during his recovery. "He needed me," she sobbed, her hands trembling as she reached for mine. "And I felt so alone, Liam. You've been so focused on work. I didn't know how to tell you." Her excuses felt hollow. My mind replayed every moment I had trusted her, every time I had praised her for being the compassionate woman she was. I pictured her in Caleb's room, her delicate fingers brushing his arm as she leaned in close, her voice soft and reassuring. A connection that should never have existed. It was all a lie. I packed a bag and left that night, needing space to process the betrayal. The days that followed were a blur of anger, sadness, and disbelief. My parents found out, and my mother begged me to forgive them. Caleb has lost so much, she said, tears streaming down her face. He doesn't deserve to lose his brother too. But what about me? Didn't I deserve loyalty? Didn't I deserve love? Emma tried everything to win me back. She sent letters, left voicemails, even showed up at my office once, wearing the same perfume that used to make my heart race. It was a mistake, she said over and over. I love you, Liam. Not him. But her actions spoke louder than her words. The images of them together haunted me, their laughter a cruel echo in my mind. I imagined her curled up on Caleb's bed, her hands tracing his shoulders as he smiled up at her with gratitude that masked something darker. I filed for divorce. It was the hardest decision I've ever made, but staying would have destroyed what little self-respect I had left. I moved out of our home and into a small apartment, focusing on work and therapy to rebuild my life. Therapy became my anchor, helping me process the pain and learn to trust again. I started journaling, pouring my thoughts onto paper, and slowly began to heal. My sister, always a voice of reason, stood by me, offering support and tough love when I needed it most. Months turned into a year, and I found myself again. The scars of betrayal remained, but they no longer defined me. I started dating cautiously, taking the time to build connections based on honesty and respect. Each step forward felt like reclaiming a piece of myself that had been lost. As for Emma and Caleb, they moved in together shortly after the divorce. I heard through family gossip that they're planning a wedding. The news stung, but it also brought closure. They deserve each other, two people willing to betray those closest to them for their own desires. This experience taught me that betrayal doesn't have to break you. It can be a catalyst for growth, a painful reminder of what truly matters. I've learned to value authenticity, to surround myself with people who uplift rather than tear down. Life isn't perfect, but it's honest now. And for that, I'm grateful. This is my story, a scar that reminds me of what I've survived and a testament to the strength I never knew I had.